Hello, friends. Welcome to our very first book review live here on Substack. For those of you who are new to me, welcome. I am Rosalia Rivera, the founder of Consent Parenting, the writer here on this Substack platform for consent parenting. And I'm so excited for this inaugural book review. I'm going to be doing one live book review every week, which will not only be a book review, but it's going to be a book reading. So I'll be reading the book to you. I'm going to be sharing tips on how to use the book. And I'm also going to be talking about what I like about the book, what different ways you can use the book. There are so many different ways that you can be using body safety books beyond just reading them to your child. And I'll be talking about all of those things. And I'm going to be doing very honest book reviews like today's review, which is not necessarily negative, but there are some issues with this book. And the problem is that I love this book. I think this book is so great. I actually wrote to the authors and said, here's my feedback. I really love your book, but here's where I have some issues with it. And this is how I use it to read to kids of a certain age group. So I'm going to be sharing the true nitty-gritty reviews with you and talking about what's good about the book and what's not so great about the book. So these are not sponsored. These books are books that were sent to me, and I need to give you my honest review. I also will be giving you the review that my children have given these books. Now, my kids have been raised on body safety since they were toddlers. And so when they look at this book, they look at it quite critically, not just this book, but any book that I give them to read. So I'll be sharing their feedback on these as well. And since this is live, if you have questions, please feel free to post them in the chat. As a matter of fact, if you're here, please let me know where you're tuning in from. I love finding out where people are demographically. If you are new to me, you may not know that I live in Canada. So that's where I am based from. But I grew up in the US and I was born in El Salvador. So I am like all over the continent in terms of, where I've lived and where I'm from. I'm bilingual, so if you are looking for book recommendations in Spanish, I am going to be doing a separate recommendations blog on books in Spanish. So stay tuned for that as well. So if you're here, say hello, let me know that you're tuning in live, or if you're watching this on the replay, post in the comments and let me know too, because I love seeing, who's tuning in afterwards if you weren't able to join live. All right, so let's get started. The book I'm reviewing today is called Family of Secrets, a beginner's body safety book. So this book, I actually got this book a while back and when they first published it. And I really sat on it for a while because I had some issues with it. And I was like, how can I still use this book? Because it's written so beautifully and the illustrations are gorgeous. I know kids will like this book. And when I let my kids read it, they had the same questions as me because of how I have taught them about secret safety. Now, before I read this book, I just want to let you know a couple of things. First of all, if you are a paid member, you have access to my Secret Safety Masterclass. And in that class, I talk about why we should not teach kids about good secrets versus bad secrets. Because the unfortunate truth is that secrets don't start as bad secrets with kids. Offenders actually groom kids to, first of all, test them if they are willing to keep a secret. But two, they test them with a good secret, with something that would seem like an innocent secret, something that doesn't make them feel bad or uncomfortable. So to a child who's not been taught that they should not keep secrets, this may seem like, what's the big deal? Like, maybe it's Uncle Jerry who said, I'll let you have dessert after, before supper, but don't tell your parents. It'll be our little secret. Now, to a child, it's like, okay, maybe they are going against the rules, but it's not really something that makes them feel bad or makes them feel guilty, maybe a little bit, but it's like, it's Uncle Jerry and he's not doing anything bad to me. He's not breaking, crossing a physical boundary. He's not touching me in a private part. Like, what could be wrong with that, right? And so if an offender realizes that the child is willing to keep a secret, the parent hasn't taught them about secret keeping, the parent hasn't talked to Uncle Jerry about not keeping secrets from, parents, and doesn't understand, even if it is something totally innocent, that child now thinks it's okay to keep a secret because it's not an unsafe secret. It's like, I just, you know, ate some, dessert or candy before supper. No big deal. Like, if my mom finds out, like, maybe, I'll get in a little bit of trouble for that, but like, whatever. I'll blame it on, Uncle Jerry. And so it's a slippery slope because, one, it's now normalized for the child to keep a secret because it's an innocent secret from someone that they know and trust, which, remember, 90% of abuse happens by people that we know and trust. And second is that if it is an offender, now they have tested the child, they see that they can keep a secret. They can keep adding on to this list of innocent secrets that they've kept, and they can manipulate the child later using that. Because if the child kept that secret, they'll probably keep another secret. If they kept that secret, they'll just keep piling on all the secrets. And eventually, when they get to a point where they are hands-on offending, they have now been kind of trapped in this web of innocent secrets. And to a young child who doesn't know what the potential consequences are going to be, if their parents going to be really mad, and now they've done this other thing that actually was really bad and they kept it a secret, like, they are just going to feel so deep in the hole that they'll be afraid to tell a parent. And this is the goal of an offender when it comes to grooming, using the tactics of secrets. So I teach no secret keeping whatsoever. I teach parents to talk to their kids about secret safety and explain, like, there's no such thing as a safe secret. Explain the concept of a tricky person, because then that will help them understand why somebody might potentially ask them to keep an innocent secret. Know how to explain to the person, we don't keep secrets in our family, and then tell their safe adult, so and so, asked me to keep this secret. It seemed like an innocent secret, but I know we have this secret safety rule. And so I told them we don't keep secrets from mom and dad, right? The other part of that is that parents should talk to the adults who are consistently in their child's life, who are always engaging with their kids, whether it's a family member, whether it's an adult, a teacher, whoever it is, and just say, FYI, we are teaching no secrets from parents. This is something that we're asking you to abide by, that you don't ask our child to keep a secret, even if it seems like an innocent secret. And then you give an example. Don't say, oh, here, I'll give you this cookie, just don't tell your mom, and explain why, right? This whole grooming idea. And then we should teach kids that instead there could be surprises, right? Surprise is something that has a time that it will be shared. So it's not something that you keep forever. It's something that is meant to make somebody excited and happy versus a secret that could potentially make them feel guilt, shame, or bad about themselves. And so making sure that we distinguish those things. Now, for older kids, and I'm talking, 4+, you want to also help them understand the concept of privacy and private information. This is particularly important when kids get older and they are starting to use anything online, where you don't want them sharing private information online, but even with people that they don't know, right? You don't want to be giving out your address, and you don't want to share like private information about your family. So helping kids understand the difference between secrets, surprises, and privacy is how I teach this framework around secret safety. Again, I go much more in depth, help you understand how to teach about tricky people and very nuanced differences, and have some tools and resources, including books, to help you teach this lesson inside of my Secret Safety Masterclass. Now, the unfortunate thing is there's not a lot of books on the concept of secret safety. In fact, there's a lot of books that kind of contradict it, because a lot of adults who write children's books include the concept of secret keeping as something that's fun and exciting, which it can be, because ultimately, if you're keeping a secret with somebody, a lot of times it could be like a secret club, or it could be a secret, that so and so has a crush on so and so. And so kids can be enticed into these ideas. And I go in depth into that and like how we can help kids navigate those things inside that masterclass. But for today, I wanted to share why I really like this book, but also where the issues come in based on what I just shared. Okay. If you have questions as I'm reading this or any comments, feel free to post them in the chat. Okay. So I'm going to read this to you and then we'll talk about where this kind of goes wrong. Okay. So, Family of Secrets. Now, first of all, if I were to read this book to a child, I want to read it to a child that cannot read because they will see that it says Family of Secrets. And what I would recommend is that you say Family of Secrets, Surprises, and Privacy. So that's how I would modify that. Okay, so let's get started. So it says here, to all those unsafe secrets, may one day you finally set them free. So beautiful illustrations. It says, in the back corner of everyone's mind lives the family of secrets, surprises, wild and divine. So that's how I added that in. It just says secrets, not surprises. Now, again, as you're reading this, I'm going to throw in my add-in of saying secrets and surprises, but the book itself, this little hair is driving me crazy there. But in the book, it only says secrets, but I am adding in surprises too. Okay, so this is how I would read it. Secrets and surprises come in all sizes and shapes. Some secrets are some surprises. So here's where you would want to change it. Now, whether you want to write this up in the book or not is up to you, but I probably would, just to remind myself. Some secrets, or I would say some surprises, are okay, and some secrets are unsafe. Now, again, some I would say, and all secrets are unsafe. So you see where I'm going with the issues with this, right? It says, before you enter their mindful home, they ask you one question and whisper it slow. Do you have a secret? If so, you are in. Now, this is where the introductions begin. So I'm going to just read the rest of it as it's written so that you can see. The first secret we meet, her name is Surprise. She is filled with confetti and has twinkling eyes. Now, what kid doesn't like this? Is such a cute illustration, and I love the rhyming, right? Surprise loves birthdays and events galore. She uses colorful streamers as party decor. Surprise is bubbly and she never grows old, since surprise is a secret that soon will get told. Like, I just think this was written so well, like cleverly. It kind of makes me crazy that they didn't just call it a surprise instead of saying this secret is a surprise, right? Her little brother rolls in. His name is Create. He collects gadgets and gizmos to make. Create is quiet with a lot on his mind. His end goal is to craft something one of a kind. Surrounded with a mess of stickers and glue, he won't say what he's making because he's making it for you. So this is like, the ideas that are in your mind, right? Behind a stack of papers, their old sister Trust hides. She carries folders and files with special secrets inside. They're safe and okay, so they feel comfortable to hold. These are passwords and garage codes that do not need to be told. So this is where we're talking about the concept of privacy, private information. If someone trusts you with a secret that is too dangerous to hold, this is a secret that needs to be told. Here comes her cousin. He goes by Mistake. He acts a bit nervous and has a bellyache. Mistake knocked into the family fishbowl. He blamed the kitten. Mom, the cat lost control. At the end of the day, he feels guilty inside. Mistake tells the truth and says, I'm sorry, I lied. So this is, I think a really good one where it's like, you did something that you're holding on to this information, like what you did, but you know that you should tell the truth, right? So this is another form of something that I hadn't even thought of, which is again why I think this book is so great and has so many great details, but there's some, nuances that still need to be fixed. Then he goes on to say, let's meet his little sister. Her secret is unlike the rest. Her name is unsafe, and she's not feeling the best. So that's unsafe secret. She sits there alone, all tucked away. When someone asks what happened, she does not want to say. What happened was not her fault and cannot be undone. Her body was hurt and made uncomfortable by someone. Shh, this unsafe secret was just between them. The family of secrets knows, no, that cannot happen again. Another part of that illustration. You see, the family of secrets rule is this and this above, even if this secret is with someone we love. At the end of the day, we can only keep secrets that are safe and okay. Say no to unwanted touch. It's your body. You are in command. Tell a safe adult as soon as possible. That's our body safety plan. If someone touched your body or asked you to do the same, they are in the wrong. We need to know their name. Tell your unsafe secret to safe adults, family, and friends until that safe behavior finally ends. Even if this unsafe secret is old, if it was unsafe, it needs to be told. So I really love that too, because it's like it could have happened a long time ago. Sometimes kids are like, well, it was so long ago. Does it even matter? Should I even tell now? Has it been too long? Should I have said something a long time ago? So that's a really important part too. So then it says, unsafe secret shared what happened to her with a counselor at school. We are so proud of her. She followed the family of secrets rule. Once this unsafe secret is freed from her mind, she begins to feel better after such a long time. With her unsafe secret finally out in the open, she gets the support she needs and can begin her coping. She journals a little, does yoga a lot. Taking self-care seriously is what she was taught. With that, unsafe secret says goodbye to her old name with a wave. She's no longer unsafe. We call her brave, which I love how it changes from that to that. The family of secrets is now joyous and merry. Their family has no unsafe secrets left to carry. With all unsafe secrets finally released, Brave shouts, "This calls for a family feast." Surprise blows up balloons. Create states, "I'll bake a cake." Mistake gets the wrong ingredients. No worries. Trust has a secret family recipe to make. And so then you see all the secrets at the table partying. The family of secrets can now all go to bed knowing there are only safe secrets left in their head. And then at the end here, it says, safe adults are grown-ups you trust. They look different based on who you know. Trusted adult family members, teachers, school counselors, therapists, social workers, doctors, nurses, police officers, child protective service workers. You can add more safe adults below. Now, I also want to state that I kind of have a little bit of an issue with that because I think that there are a lot of people on that list who could not be safe adults. Safe adult is really someone who behaves safely, who respects body safety rules. Again, I also talk about this in the secret safety class so that when you're helping create a list of safe adults for your child and with your child, because they should be participating in that process, that they are also helping you to create that list and for you to explain to them what actually makes an adult safe. Because not all adults are safe, not all adults are unsafe. So how can a child distinguish between who is safe and who is not? Because it shouldn't be based on their title. Not all family members are safe. Not all teachers are safe. Not all police officers are safe, right? So we want to make sure that we're teaching kids what makes a person actually safe. So I would make sure that we're caveating that on this list. But ultimately, that is the end of the book. And it has the little brave secret there. And then there is a whole section back here of frequently asked questions and a little bit about the authors. Now, I want to talk about the authors because I think that they are very well intentioned. And I think they had a lot of really great points in this book. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what I just read and what you think about it. The authors of this book are two twin sisters who one is actually an elementary school counselor, and the other one actually works in the field of child exploitation investigations. So I was just reading this here. And they actually grew up with a dad who was a police officer and a mom who was a teacher. And they explained to them about safe and unsafe secrets. Now, unfortunately, the truth is that offenders know how to manipulate kids and know how to use this idea of unsafe secrets. And they don't start grooming kids by asking them to do unsafe things. Grooming is a process that takes time to build trust. Now, a child that could be manipulated into keeping all kinds of safe secrets that don't make them feel bad are more at risk for being manipulated into other kinds of things and not even just manipulated, but in a sense, blackmailed because of all the previous secrets that they kept. So that's really my biggest issue is that we need to tweak the language in how this is framed and help kids understand that there are secrets, there are surprises, there's privacy, and I think this book does a good job of distinguishing those, but it's the language that we really need to look at and also make sure that we are talking to our kids about the differences, but also talking to the adults in our kids' lives and telling them, don't ask our child to keep a secret even if it seems like an innocent one. The other piece too is that I think it's so important that when we are helping our kids understand this concept, which can be a little bit hard to understand if your child is younger than 4, the concept of secret safety can feel really abstract. And so we just want to say, if somebody tells you to keep a secret, they may not understand that it's not safe. So you can come and tell me, right? Because there may be very well-intentioned people in your life. There may be a grandparent who doesn't know this information, right? And so it's our job to explain that to them, to tell them, especially if they have done it in the past, just to say, hey, you know how like you want to have this special bond and like you give them treats, even though I ask you not to. If you're asking my child to not say something, then this goes against the body safety rules that we're teaching. And here's why that matters, right? And then you explain the concept of grooming and how this can actually normalize that for a child. Even if the grandparent's not the one grooming your child, they are normalizing it so that another adult can. And so that's the big problem. So if you have a child who cannot read yet and you are willing to kind of make those edits in this book, it's a fantastic book. I love the illustrations. Kids love it. The feedback from my kids was, we really like it. It's really cute. And it's really confusing because you said no secrets. So if you have already taught your child no secrets, you definitely need to make the edits as you're reading it. I would actually go in and like put it in pencil or something just so that you don't forget, how to say it or what you want to say, or that, you have to make that tweak and then be able to read it to your child. So that's my review of the book. I think it's great. I think that the authors, have some very good intention and have some understanding around these concepts, but the language is tricky. And it's also something that you really need to make sure you're not just talking to your kids about, but also talking to the adults in your kids' lives. Now, some of the frequently asked questions that are in the back here are, what are safe secrets? Safe secrets are okay and comfortable to hold. They're usually revealed soon. Most safe secrets are not kept for a long time, like surprise parties or birthdays. Just call it a surprise, right? Like, don't call it safe secrets. I think that can get confusing, especially for a younger child. Um, and then it explains what are unsafe secrets, which, again, you can say unsafe, but I think that can be confusing for a child. How do I know if I have a safe or unsafe secret? if you are ever unsure, always ask a safe adult. So it has some answers here. It says, are there times when body touches are okay? There's all kinds of safe touches. And this is actually one of the reasons why I'm doing a class soon called the Touch Continuum. Again, that's also for paid members. If you're a paid member, you'll be getting an email very soon with the dates. I'm actually breaking that class into a 3-part class with homework that we can do together so that you have some accountability and you're able to teach the concept of safe touch. Because here it says doctors touch our bodies during checkups with a parent or guardian. This can be safe since it is for our body's health. However, if you are feeling unsafe, hurt, or uncomfortable by anyone at any time, please tell a safe adult immediately. Absolutely. And it's important to explain to a child what could be considered a safe touch and how can a safe touch become an unsafe touch, right? So that's why the touch continuum is so important. And that is actually an idea, a concept that was created by a doctor many years ago to help, therapists actually teach children with sexual behavior issues about what is safe touch because they have lost that ability to distinguish, particularly if they themselves have been abused. But we can teach it in a way that is very proactive and very prevention oriented. So anyway, the other question that's here is, what if someone shares an unsafe secret with me? The answer, it says, is be calm and compassionate, listen without judgment, remind them it's not their fault, and advise the appropriate person or agency to ensure child safety. So, good information. There's also resources here for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children if you're in the US, and then a little bit more about the authors. So, and I'll show you a picture of them. That is the twin sisters who wrote this book. Sorry, my nails are like not super clean, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that, but I was just dealing with some stuff in my garden before coming online. Anyway, the other way that I would highly recommend using this book is if there is a child in your life that you suspect something is off, something's wrong, maybe they are being abused, maybe something's happened. It doesn't always have to be just by an adult. It could be by a peer because we know that rates of peer-to-peer violence have been on the rise in the last 5 years, pretty much since COVID. And so really important that if you suspect something, that you start amping up your body safety conversations, that you're paying attention, jotting down information that you suspect is, the change in behavior or physical signs that you're seeing. And reading a book like this can help a child because you notice that there was a secret that this child was holding on to that's called unsafe secret, right? And something that they felt burdened by, that they didn't feel that they could tell. Somebody told them not to tell, but then they were brave and told. And so this kind of storyline can help a child connect with and resonate with a character who may be in a similar position and seeing that, the outcome was positive because they told, right? So that is another really great way to use a book like this. There's another really great book, which I'm going to look for because I don't have it here. And I have to look into if it's still being printed, if it's still being published. If not, where can you find old copies? That is very specifically for kids who there is a suspicion that they have been abused or there is a disclosure, but they're afraid of sharing more information. This book can help. It's by Naomi Hunter and it's called A Secret Safe to Tell. So I'll find it. I know I have it in my library somewhere and I'll be sharing more about that soon. So I hope that that was really helpful for you in figuring out if this is the book for you as it relates to secret safety. I have other secret safety books that I do recommend inside of my Secret Safety Masterclass, which again, you can find under workshops in the archives. I have multiple workshops available for paid members, and that's one of them that you can get access to. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you thought of the book and how you would maybe use it, or if you decide not for me, it would be confusing to my kids because I've already taught them this as well. So would love to hear from you. Let me know, and I will see you next week for the next week's book review. Check your email for what that next book will be. And if you have books that you want me to review, send me the names and I'll look into them. And then I can either share a review or say, this book is definitely not a good book. I don't even recommend it, and I'm not going to do a review on it. There have been books like that that have been sent to me, and I am not even going to share them because they're just not evidence-based and not helpful. So just, keep that in mind. But I would love to hear from you if you have book recommendations that you think I should be sharing with others. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next week. Bye.